You wake up in a warm bed, pull the blanket around you, and walk into your bathroom while the morning light slips across the floor. You reach for a pad or tampon without thinking, knowing exactly what to use and where to find it. Now, take all of that away. No supermarket, no disposable pads, no tampons in plastic wrappers, no bathroom cabinet waiting for you every month. And yet, thousands of years ago, Egyptian women still had to wake up, work, travel, give birth, raise children, and deal with the same monthly bleeding you do. So the question is simple. How did ancient Egyptian women handle their periods when modern menstrual products didn't exist? And the surprising answer begins with a plant. Around 1800 BCE, in the Egyptian settlement of Lahun, someone wrote down one of the oldest surviving medical texts about women's health, the Kahun Gynecological Papyrus. It contained dozens of cases involving pregnancy, fertility, contraception, pain, and conditions connected to the womb. But here's what nobody tells you. The papyrus doesn't give us a neat ancient Egyptian instruction manual saying, "Here is your monthly pad." Evidence for exactly how ordinary women managed menstrual flow is frustratingly incomplete, partly because the materials they used were organic and usually disappeared long ago. Still, we have clues. One of the strongest is papyrus itself. Papyrus was a grass-like plant that grew abundantly along the Nile, and historical evidence suggests Egyptians softened it and used it to absorb menstrual blood in something resembling an early internal menstrual product. Think about that for a second. The same civilization famous for pyramids and temples was also dealing with something incredibly ordinary, keeping blood off your clothes. But papyrus wasn't the only possibility. Linen was everywhere in ancient Egypt. It was made from flax, woven into clothing, and used for countless household purposes. Researchers therefore consider absorbent linen or cloth another plausible way women could have managed menstrual flow, although the surviving evidence doesn't let us say exactly how widespread any particular method was. And that uncertainty matters. You sometimes see claims online that ancient Egyptian women definitely used a specific tampon made in a particular way. The reality is messier. Ancient evidence rarely gives you the complete picture, especially when the object you're looking for was designed to be used, washed, reused, and eventually thrown away. The archaeological record remembers statues. It doesn't remember every piece of cloth. And then things get even more fascinating. The Egyptians didn't simply treat women's reproductive health as something mysterious and invisible. By around 1800 BCE, the Kahun Papyrus was already recording observations about women's bodies and offering treatments for different problems. Some of those treatments sound strange to you now. The papyrus describes medicines, oils, fumigation, and substances taken by the mouth or applied to the body. Many conditions were understood through the language of the womb, and the text shows that Egyptian practitioners were actively trying to diagnose and treat women's complaints. But here's the part nobody talks about. They didn't understand menstruation the way you do. Modern medicine can explain the menstrual cycle through hormones, ovulation, and changes in the uterine lining. An Egyptian healer working around 1800 BCE had none of that biological framework. Instead, Egyptian medicine often connected symptoms throughout the body with the womb, sometimes in ways that seem bizarre to you now. The Kahun Papyrus even describes supposed discharges of the womb associated with symptoms elsewhere in the body. Their explanation was different, but their problem was real. And menstruation wasn't necessarily viewed through one simple cultural lens either. The ancient Egyptian word often associated with menstruation, hesem, has been interpreted as relating to purification, although scholars caution against turning that single word into a sweeping claim about Egyptian attitudes toward menstrual blood. Evidence suggests the subject could be treated in complicated and sometimes contradictory ways, rather than simply being considered dirty. That complexity is important, because you might imagine an ancient woman experiencing her period as completely different from yours. In one sense, it was. She lived thousands of years before modern medicine, modern sanitation, and disposable products. But the physical problem itself was remarkably familiar. Bleeding, this comfort, managing clothing, and getting through ordinary life while your body did something you couldn't simply switch off. And here's what doesn't make sense until you think about it. She still had work to do. She still had meals to prepare, children to care for, people to meet, clothes to wash, and life to continue. There was no pause button. And perhaps that's the most interesting thing about this story. When historians look for ancient Egypt, they often find pyramids, royal tombs, enormous statues, and monuments built to survive thousands of years. But ordinary life was made from things much smaller: linen, food, water, fire, medicine, and the everyday problems your body created. Most of those things disappeared. The people didn't. So imagine that morning again. You wake up, feel the familiar discomfort, reach into the bathroom cabinet and grab what you need. The packaging is modern. The convenience is modern. The problem is ancient. Ancient Egyptian women had papyrus, linen, whatever materials were available, and medical knowledge that was sometimes surprisingly sophisticated and sometimes completely wrong. And that is the strange thing about being human. Your body has barely changed. The world around it did.